So I found that my brush with fame actually started quite early when I was around 16 years old. A couple of things happened. I used to go to the O'Keeffe Centre in Toronto because I lived close by there. And I read the book by Sammy Davis Jr. called Yes, I Can. So when he came to perform there, I was very excited. And after the show, I was out the back with all the other autograph seekers. And there was about 40 people in between me and him. And I just held the book up. And Sammy just parted the waves like the sea and walked right over to me and asked me how I enjoyed the book and signed it for me. The O'Keeffe Centre was a place of great celebration for many, many years in Toronto. And I was taking drumming lessons at one point, and the drumming instructor was with the National Youth Orchestra. And just before they took a tour of Europe, they performed at the O'Keeffe Centre. So I went, sat in the front row. Dave was up there, he did a stellar job. Took me backstage and he showed me all around and said, when the big stars stay here, this is where they are. There's a room over here and a room over here. So a few months later, my 16th birthday, my dad asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, well, I'd really like to see Duke Ellington. I love Duke Ellington and his music. So we went, and we got there about half an hour before showtime. And I took my friend Jamie, my school buddy, my friend who was in Scouts together, and I said, give me your program, I'm going to go down and get his autograph. He goes, you're right. So I took the programs, I ran downstairs, I go up to the door, and there was not so much security as much as there is nowadays, but there was a man on the door, and somebody came up and asked him a question. He turned to the right, and I went to the left, through the door. I knew where the rooms were, I knew where I was going. I whipped around the corner, and boom! I banged into this black man that was as high as a tree. And I went, Mr. Ellington? And he said, yes, son, but I don't think it's the right one. I think you want to talk to my brother. Well, I didn't even know that Mercer Ellington, the Duke's brother, played a trombone, and he was as long as a trombone. Marched me right around the corner. There was a couple of security-type people, took a look at me and saw this big, huge black man's arm around my shoulder and went, guess he must have a reason for being here. Oh. So up he goes to the door, knocks on the door, says, hey, bro, there's somebody to see you here. So there's some shuffling, and he goes, just a second. So about 10 seconds later, he walks me down a little short hallway. I turn to the left. There's Duke Ellington. Oh my God, I'm 16 years old. I got 2 programs in my hand and a pen in the other. And I went, Mr. Ellington, it is such an honor to meet you. Oh, sit, Dave. What's your name? So my name's Tom. It's my birthday today. My dad asked me what I wanted, and I said I couldn't think of anything better than to come and see you perform live. I could hardly talk. He asked me why I was there. I told him about my drum lessons and how my desire was to become a jazz drummer, and that my parents had fallen in love to his music. And he was really, really shocked, not so much shocked, but really moved that someone this young would embrace his music. I'm assuming at the time he was probably in his early 70s, or at least his late 60s. I sat and chatted with him for about 10 minutes. And he signed the program, and I told him that Jamie didn't believe me that I was going to come down and speak to him. So he said, Jamie, sorry you couldn't make it. Love the Duke. So I left, and just as I was leaving, he said, Tom, he said, and there was a knock on the door saying, 5 minutes to showtime, Mr. Ellington. And as I was leaving, he said, Tom, what's your favorite piece? And I said, well, Satin Doll. I love Satin Doll. Thank you so much. Shook his hand. I'm on the air. I floated up to the top balcony where we were. Went through the whole thing. Now, I don't know if you've seen Duke Ellington in live, but one of his favorite sayings is he leans forward to all the women in the front row and says, remember, I love you madly. And everybody goes crazy. So we're into the second part of the show after the intermission. And he's sitting down, and Duke always likes to introduce his pieces with a little bit of a chit-chat. We were down in New Orleans, and I was playing with Count Basie, and he introduces the song, and it always makes it so alive and rich. It's like we're there in New Orleans with him. And then as he's sitting down on the keyboard at one point, he goes, and he started playing a couple of bars, and I recognized it right away, and he goes, oh! He said, this goes out to a friend of mine. It's his birthday today. This one's for you, Tom. Satin Doll. Could have knocked me over with a feather, but my friend Jamie never doubted anything that I ever told him after that I was going to do.